Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is a Berliner gramophone record, one of the first flat records ever made. It dates from September 1898, and it is Tim Finnegans Wake, the Irish music hall song sung by Joseph Terrell. And we're going to put it on the turntable now, and I'm going to, it's a little off center, so I'm going to kick it into the center position. All will be explained. And let's see. Okay, this whole thing is set up. Let me make sure we're actually on the air here. Okay. So we take you to September 1898 to Tim Finnegans Wake.
Tim Finnegans Wake, as sung by Mr. John Terrell. Tim Finnegan lived in Walker Street, a gentleman Irishman, my God. He had a beautiful grove, so rich and sweet, and the right in the world he carried a hat. But with me he was sort of a gentleman way, with a club horn, liquor poured him was born, and to help him through his work each day, each drum of the creature he every morn. One morning Tim was rather full, his health felt heavy which made him gay. He fell from the ladder and broke his skull, so they carried him home in Portster Way. They rolled him up in a nice clean sheet and laid him out up on the bed, with 14 candles round his feet and a couple of dozen around his head. His friends assembled at his wake. Mrs. Finnegan called out for the lunch. First they laid him tea and cake, then pipes, tobacco and whiskey punch. Miss Biddy O'Brien began to cry, "You're the pretty crop did you ever see? Have a Tim O'Brien, why did you die? Off none of your gas and beauty McGee." Then Peggy O'Connor took up the job. Now the Biddy said, "You're wrong, I'm sure." But Judy then gave her a dub in the gob and left her sprawling on the floor. Each side in the ward is soon engaged, was woman to woman and man to man. Till Lady Long was all the rage and a bloody rout and soon began.
The end.
So, Brad K., where was that record made?
Probably New York, maybe Washington, D.C., or Philadelphia, because that's where these other two cities where these were made. It doesn't say. Sometimes it does.
And what's that vinyl made of?
Well, it's not made of vinyl.
What's it made of?
This is, I think they were using shellac by this time, which is the stuff that all subsequent 78 RPMs were made of. They started out with this sort of hard rubber compound. It took a while for Mr. Berliner to find his way into the right material.
And why is it only on one side?
All records were one-sided at that time. It was, it just never occurred to anyone until later that you could have a record on both sides.
And how's that rate economically? What did you pay for it, and what do you think it's worth?
Well, I paid $25 for it.
And what year
ago.
about?
Oh, about 1995. And that was pretty cheap even then. I think a record like this could be worth a couple $100 today. This is one of the first flat records. Mr. Berliner created the flat record as a response to the cylinder record. Cylinder records were impossible to mass produce because of the complexity of the cylinder shape. And Mr. Berliner thought to himself, if we could make the record flat, they could stamp them out like waffles from a waffle iron, see? And then you had a mass marketable product, and thereby he revolutionized the whole music business.
And what about the content of the lyrics? We know that James Joyce was influenced by this song to write his novel Finnegans Wake.
Okay.
Though he dropped the apostrophe. This indeed has an apostrophe?
It's not here.
Uh-oh. There is
Tim
no
Finnegans
apostrophe
Wake.
there.
But there should be one.
Very good.
So you see that this is
point out all the details on there.
okay.
What do you got?
Well, of course, this is before the days of paper labels, so the information was written directly on the copper master. So here we have the title in a fine hand, Tim Finnegans Wake, and we have the actual signature of the artist, John Terrell, who announces himself at the beginning of the record. This number here is the catalog number, 1869. And then down here, do you see these tiny numbers? It says 998. Okay, that I'm confident is the month and year of the record. That is September 1898.
Then above it, you have some sort of rubber stamp printed thing.
This is this is your label, Berliner, E. Berliner's Gramophone. See, he called his the Gramophone instead of the Edison phonograph. So that was to indicate a different item altogether. And then below that, all this patent information, which became the subject of a protracted court case when Edison sued Emil Berliner because of what Edison considered patent infringement. But the case dragged on for several years, and Berliner was forced to stop making these little guys. There was a court injunction against him for a while the case was being settled, and then he won the case, and he could go back into business. And he'd acquired a partner by then, a guy named Eldridge Johnson, and the two of them went back into the record business, and because they won their case, they called the new company The Victor. And that's how Victor Records were born, no kidding. But
what about the content? You've done some research on the lyrics.
Well,
tell us what you found out.
I spent many a wee hour last night actually transcribing the lyrics. And since you have, this song, Tim Finnegans Wake, goes back to the 1850s. It was a favorite in drinking song and in Irish music halls. Huge hit, probably the biggest hit of the Irish music hall of the 19th century. All right, so and the fact that it's immortalized by James Joyce just adds a little luster to its history. But by 1898, this song was a golden oldie. All right. Now I took the trouble and transcribed exactly what he's singing, and we can follow this.
Why don't you play it and
well, I'm going to put the record
over.
No,
okay,
no, I don't have to. What I'm going to do, I'll let Mr. Terrell speak for himself.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm doing this, incidentally, is because very often the hole in the middle of the record really isn't in the middle of the record. It's a little off, and so the record needs to be centered so that the pitch isn't wobbly. And also, take note over here, the 78 RPM. The speed indicator is somewhat to the south of 78. This record is spinning at about 65 because they had not even come close to standardizing the speed by 1898.
So we're going to listen to it, and you're going to show us the lyrics.
We're going to play "Follow the Bouncing Ball" with the lyrics. Okay,
Beautiful.
I've transcribed them here, and let me get my little magic twanger pointer here. So we'll okay, all right. So put the record on, and okay. Now this transcription is verbatim from the record. It includes little mistakes by the singer, and the the text is significantly different from other published versions of the song. And here's the title, the catalog number, and there's a couple of Irish words that crop up in the lyrics. Down here is this took me a long time to figure out. Ara Tim Mulverine, okay, that's Irish. Ara means, it's an Irish expression, an emotion, expressing an emotion such as annoyance, excitement, or surprise, often as an introduction to saying something, exactly like oi in Yiddish, okay. And then Mulverine is another Irish word meaning my darling. Okay, so we'll, with that explained out of the way, we will now repeat the record and we'll follow the lyrics at home with everybody, all right? So I suggest you follow my lyrics.
Tim Finnegans Wake, as sung by Mr. John Terrell.
Follow the bouncing ball.
Tim Finnegans lived in Walker Street, a gentleman Irishman like God. He'd a beautiful grove, so rich and sweet, and to rise in the world he carried a heart.
Ding, 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 ding.
But you see, he is sort of a gentleman way, with a love for liquor towards him was born, and to help him through his work each day, each drop of the creature he'd every morn. One morning Tim was rather full, his health fell heavy which made him shake. He fell from the ladder and broke his skull, so they carried him home, his corpse away. They rolled him up in a nice clean sheet and laid him out upon the bed with 14 candles round his feet and a couple of guns around his head. His friends assembled at his wake with a Finnegan called out for the lunch. First they laid him saying cakes and pipes, tobacco and whiskey punch. Miss Biddy O'Brien began to cry, just the funny caught did you ever see? Harris him a running like did you die off none of your gas, says Beauty Monkey. Then Peggy O'Connor took up the job, and a Biddy said you're wrong, I'm sure. But Judy then gave her a thumb to the knob, and left her sprawling on the floor. Each side in the ward is soon engaged, was woman to woman and man to man. Till Lady Love was all the rage, and a bloody ruffian soon began.
Record ends, but that's not the end of the song. There's still one more verse and chorus left over that he didn't apparently have time to sing on this record. They just left it hanging there. What happens is that the fight continues. Somebody throws a barrel of whiskey and it misses its target and it spills all over the corpse of Tim Finnegan, who is revived by the whiskey. And he says, "What's you all fighting about?" And that's the end of the song. So it's
that's because whiskey means water of life, so it brings them back to life.
Yes.
And so that's the great Irish joke. Is this a private fight or can anyone join in? Anyways, Brad Kay, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for your expertise.
You're welcome, sir, and
carry on. Let all us Finnegans wake up.
Absolutely. Leave us wake. Okay. And ascend into the stratosphere